Hello, everyone. I'm Chestnut44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity. Last episode, we arrived here in Brackenbury, walked into Raymont Manor in order to let the guy there know that he was going to be robbed, and went over and looked around in the Charred Barrel, the inn that happened to be over here. Now let's see what else we can find here in Brackenbury. Maybe there will be interesting things. Aside from the gold names, who I am not reading, because I don't need to. Okay. Noble there, noble there. There isn't so much as a spot on these oranges. It looks like... Oh, House Domenal. Ah, yes, we heard of that from the other guy. This is... Hadret Home. Anything in here? Wow, this is fancy. The marble at the base has been worn smooth by the passage of hundreds of feet. A link, yes, I'm certain of it.
Well met, friend.
The Orland man is surrounded by books and scrolls. His wiry hair stands nearly on end and his ears prick up as you approach. You carry whispers. Cad Nua, Gilded Veil. Old voices indeed. What are you talking about? The Orland grins, revealing a row of dagger-pointed teeth. As a cipher, it's my job to know these things. You carry the whiff of ancients. What else can you tell me? His ears twitch downward. Not as much as I would like, unfortunately. My duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. He regards a table piled with scrolls. What brings you to Dunrid Row? What are you so busy with? His small furry hands gesture expansively at the papers before him. Hollowborn, growing unrest, and the ever-present political intrigues. With so many missing souls, missing persons are the least of our concerns these days. Tell me more about your skills. I check for soul connections, looking for lost things, missing things, or troublesome things, particularly where people of power and influence are concerned. I'm a cipher. In Aer Glanfath we were once known as Brishalgwyn, Mind Hunters. Nice title, yes, but it wasn't until the Animancers began working with my kind 40 years ago that we truly understood our power. Now we make some of the best detectives in the world. Tracing souls, we can look at a person and see where they have been, or look at a weapon and see who has touched it. Useful for solving crimes, as you can imagine. Looks as though you could use some help. Curran wags a clawed finger. Not at liberty to discuss my work, unfortunately. Dunrid Row ears only. A civilian would need the confidence of Lady Webb before I could share. As you say. The scrolls are wedged tightly in the shelves. Each has a name scrawled along the outside. This map shows the environs surrounding Defiance Bay. Flags mark strategic access points to the city. Some of these vintages are even older than Defiance Bay. So this seems like a fancy place that we'll probably be coming back to later. Either these notes are written in code or the author's handwriting is atrocious. A group of notes speculate about the identity and location of a secret sect in Defiance Bay.
I can do that.
No. We're not going to try to pick the lock of something we can't loot. Affixed to the wall are leads in a case involving, apparently, a caravan that disappeared en route to New Haomar. Okay. What about the second floor? Can we look up there? Turns out we can look up here. Let's see what we see. More agents. Pictures of all manner of folk are pinned to this board alongside notes scribbled in an indecipherable shorthand. Can't go in there without a key. So whatever's up here is probably something important. The notes are scribbled in a cryptic shorthand. Alright, seems like there's nothing else to do here in Hadrid House. Interesting place, but I guess we'll be coming back later. Probably, for whatever quest is involved here. Let's see. This will unlock... Oh.
Sure.
Oh.
Pirate cities floating in the archipelago. The mountain halls of these northern dwarves. Plenty.
I haven't been further south than the Deerwood myself. Maybe I'll come back after I've convinced the Ranganui and see all those things for myself.
I hope you do.
One can certainly hope so. And we've unlocked Andra's gift, but we won't go there yet. Just hear me out. This procedure, her soul would be returned intact. More or less. More or less? Is that how you plan on presenting your idea to Ethelmore? Why? Not good? Not good. And this is a sanitarium. Too many variables. These charming windows are reinforced with iron bars and a double thickness of glass. A woman stands in the shade of the garden, muttering to herself. She's fixated on the pages of a large and well-worn tome, seemingly oblivious to the blooming flowers and the cool, fragrant breeze. She only looks up when your shadow crosses her page. Do you mind? I'm rather busy. What are you so busy with? She snaps her book shut. I'm studying soul attachment. We all know that souls move into people at birth and out of them at death, but we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. What do you mean about making them stick? She brushes a stray lock from her forehead. Souls power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. It's separation that leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the Hollowborn. But if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Waidwind's legacy. Maybe even conquer death. Sounds dangerous. She scratches behind her ear. That's the theory, anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have all of the research I need to put it into practice. And what exactly do you need? There's a manuscript called the Theorems of Pangram. It contains research from Pangram's experiments on detached souls. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumored to have a copy in the Elder Archives. Pangram's work is considered to be one of the more, daring animancy texts. Not something generally circulated among novices, nor easy to get a hold of. I wonder if we might have a peek at it. The theorems could advance my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships whale, which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge. And since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict the kinds of information that would be useful to me. Maybe she could be persuaded? You're welcome to try, but you wouldn't be the first. Look at me spilling my troubles. It's kind of you to listen, but I should really get back to my work. Anything else? Tell me about yourself. I'm an animancer at the Sanitarium. Currently, I'm researching matters related to Widewind's legacy. What's Widewind's legacy? Widewind's legacy refers to the rise in Hollowborn children in the Deerwood in recent years. Some have also connected it to so-called Biowaks that blow through Air Glanfath. There's hardly any reliable data on those, though, so I can't really comment. I don't much care for the term Widewind's legacy. It reeks of superstition, but it's too prevalent to change at this point. Personally, I'd like to see people take a more methodical approach to these matters, rather than throwing up their hands and blaming the gods. Don't think Deerwoodens would see too much fun in that. I have some questions about the theorems of Pangram. Such as? Tell me about them. Pangram was an animancer working in the Deerwood. He had some interesting theories about essence and some rather innovative techniques for studying it. He was able to reattach souls to bodies after death, although he wasn't able to prevent his patients from degenerating. He was controversial, to say the least, but many are starting to realize that he was merely ahead of his time. Oh, what do you mean by degenerating? Nedin twists her hands together. Well, there seems to be a tiny problem with reattaching souls after death. The bodies will reanimate and may even retain memories and personality, but they develop a hunger for flesh. Living, soul-infused flesh. Without it, they start to devolve, decaying mentally and physically. If the process goes too far, which it eventually does, they become mindless corpses, attacking anything that moves. We haven't figured out a way to avoid that. And you wonder why Grimda won't share this research with you. That sounds like necromancy. Nonsense! Necromancy is magic. This is science! Why doesn't Grimda lend you the books you need? The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rather protective of its books, especially the rarer ones, and Grimda in particular. She hates animancy, thinks it's dangerous. I don't see how you can run the greatest library in the Deerwood and be so adverse to the spread of knowledge and research, but I've never understood these religious types. Aloth scowls at the Animancer. Some knowledge is best kept under lock and key. I'd like to know more about the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. You'll find it in the Copperlane district. It's dedicated to the God of Secrets and Revelations. Most importantly, it houses the largest and most expansive library in the Deerwood. Well, that settles it. We simply must go see it, right? Well, we already have. What are the Elder Archives? The Elder Archives hold the rarest, most arcane, and most powerful texts in the Deerwood. Think of it as the inner sanctum of the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Needless to say, you need Grimda's permission to enter. Well, you'll never believe what I've found. You! Lady of Lament, you really found it! Nedin cradles the musty tome like a newborn. I can't believe it. It really exists. Oh, thank you so much. This will be invaluable. She almost turns to the book, but at the last moment, she remembers herself and gives you a bag of coin. Is that all? Ah, of course. She pulls a ring from her finger. It may not look like much, but I've always been able to use this ring to generate a little extra money when I was between stipends. It's critical for someone doing research without the benefit of a wealthy patron. She smiles weakly and hands it to you. Please, take it. You've certainly given me a resource I couldn't have found on my own. I'll leave you alone. Okay, that mission is complete. And we have 2 rings. Ring of Unshackling, which grants Suppress Affliction twice arrest. And Eternal Funding. Plus 5 copper. This plain gold band contains a power that belies its simple appearance. It's been passed between animancers, wizards, and other scholars for centuries because it provides a steady income to the wearer, allowing him or her to pursue research interests without being tied to a particular patron. So if I put this on you, I don't know how we'll be getting the coin, but it'll be something. I guess you can wear it for now, and the Suppress Affliction, I guess I'll give it to you. Okay. While we could go in there, I think from when I tried it, I remember that it's actually a long quest. Taxes collected, lost almost half of it to bandits. Kind of a bother. Still can't do this. Won't be able to. Upgrade is still another day away. Okay. I think we can take a look in here, though. And hello there, in Domenel Manor.
Well met, friend.
The burly guard eyes you warily. I don't recognize you. What business do you have with House Domenel? Tell me about House Domenel. It's an old and respected family. Much of Defiance-based prosperity is due to Domenel business activities. Now, do you have any further business here? Farewell. I will see you out. So we can't look around in House Domenel. Okay then. Unfortunate. Maybe we'll get a mission there another time. Unless we had decided to try and help them with robbing the other guy. Which we didn't. Alright. Let me drop a save before we go into the Sanitarium. Let's see what we can find inside of here. Could be interesting things. Could be risky things. We'll probably be learning more about animancers. Retrieve Helig's research from Modred's laboratory. Ah, right. That's what we need to do. The table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets with titles like Practical Benefits of Animancy and Soul Adjustment for the Well-Adjusted Soul. We can actually loot these. Which will be sellable. Warden, an animancer from the Republic, Spancello, has requested a visit. Extend a formal invitation. See to it that the necessary preparations are made. Of course. That's interesting. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down unblinking over the bustle of harried academics pestered by the hopeful desperate. A strong warmth emanates from it that you could sense from across the room. There's a human soul stored beneath the stonework. You feel its attention turned towards you. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. His voice echoes deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what is it that has brought you to my sanitarium? I'm curious as to how you've come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me, a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that, I am quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again, one of our animancers will humor me and consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed, and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. Tell me about the sanitarium. A history lesson. Oh, this is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We are an old institution, as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with, shall we say, ill-favored souls came to populate its streets in droves. Thus, the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion in animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time it was forgotten, as all things are. Since then, we have been at the forefront of animancy's resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers, and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, preservation. It's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today it's... well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy, and they see it involves something they don't understand. So it's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. It looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at a hearing before the Duke. Absurd as it sounds. If it does not go well, it could be the end of animancy in Deerwood. I fear Avar may be swayed by all this unrest, irrational though it may be. We shall see. I'm looking for an animancer named Modred. Modred, of course. You will find him downstairs in the first room on the right. Farewell. Alright. Hopefully trying to get that grimoire doesn't cause him to decide to attack us or anything like that. Although I have a feeling that there's a possibility of it. Alright, anything else in these two rooms? This man's soul was torn asunder by a Biowak. As you can see, the patient is unresponsive, common after soul trauma. The Animancer places a small stone upon the patient's forehead. A portion of his soul was recovered near his body. We use this stone as a vessel for transfer. Can you hear me, Oswin? The patient's eyes slowly open before a panicked, wild expression washes over him. Unfortunately, the extended disassociation has permanent side effects. The patient becomes more agitated, grunting and moaning as he tugs at his bonds. With further research, we're confident that we'll be able to rehabilitate patients like Oswin. Well, that's a little concerning. The table is set with an assortment of leaflets and booklets with... Okay.
Good day to you.
A bald man with a crooked nose gestures in demonstration over the still body of a patient before a small gathering of interested onlookers. Feeling your gaze, he pauses his discussion. Have you come to sit in? I'd like to know more about the Sanitarium. He gives an eager nod. It's the mission that attracted me here. The treatment of the disturbed. No one else seems to care about them. Here, they've worked wonders for them. I've seen people cured of insatiable hungers and uncontrollable urges. I've seen the crippled walk and the dysphoric smile, all within these walls. The thought that the Duke could put an end to it with a single order, it keeps me up nights.
Welcome.
What is it you do here? Close as we are to the Glanfathan wilds, we get a number of Biowak maimings every year. Survivors dealing with complications from exposure. This fellow here is a severe case, his essence a mere whisper of what it was. I am early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work. But in time, I hope to find a way to protect people from the storm's effects. I imagine that would be a worthy cause. Let's see. These look like field sketches of Anguithan ruins and artifacts. And we've got that there. And this will head downstairs. This painting of a rolling forest glen has a strangely soothing effect. First door to the right is what he said. Okay, this feels like it's going to be a dungeon. Or that there's a lot to this place. I don't want to start a dungeon with so little time left in an episode. I really don't. And yet I can't let an episode be this short, so we'll have to walk in at least. And there's Modred. Let me drop a save first, quickly. Alright, let's speak with this Modred. Leave the trunk alone for a moment. An Animancer scribbles feverishly on a parchment scroll while his free hand dances through the air, counting off unseen objects. His lips move in silent discourse. As your shadow falls over his scroll, he looks up at you with mingled perplexity and irritation.
Good day to you.
Can I help you? What are you working on? My area of focus is wicts. More specifically, how to cure them. What's a wict? A hollowborn who received a transplanted animal soul during infancy. One of Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful one. He removes his spectacles and wipes his brow. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence, they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Transplanting animal souls into children seems like an odd solution. We, Animancers, were trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. He stares at a fixed point on the far wall. And despite the controversy, it only went so far because at first it seemed to work. People called it the salvation, Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. The complications don't begin until puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous. But we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down animancers and burned down their homes, with them still inside, often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it. But we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. Why do you study wigs? What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, the lives that could be restored. What could be more important? His face is reddened and he turns away from you for a moment. Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's simply a matter of working it out. Does the name Helig mean anything to you? Modred starts. Helig? He is, a colleague of mine. He was primarily a necromancer, but he was involved in animancy too. He worked at the Sanitarium for several years. I dare say everyone here has heard of him. He left his post recently. I believe he was seeking new opportunities in the Valian Republics. The advances they're making in animancy really are quite remarkable. Surely you've heard? Perhaps you haven't. Do you know a woman named Rowena? No, I don't get out of the Sanitarium much. As I've said, he no longer works here. I've heard it differently. He slides his spectacles down his nose. Just what are you insinuating? If this is your idea of a joke, I assure you it is in very poor taste. So you didn't sink a blade into his chest and dump him in the catacombs. He'll be relieved to hear it. How could... Very well. Yes, I killed him. I killed that beast because nobody else had the spine for it. He was a madman. Years of perverse experiments, twisting healthy souls, torturing damaged souls. And for what? He flayed the essence from Glanfathan indigents for his amusement. If the public had known half of his deeds, they'd have razed this place to the ground. He jabs his finger on the deck. He used the Sanitarium to disguise his own sick proclivities. He brought shame on all of us and put the entire discipline at risk. I regret nothing. Anyway, now you know the whole grisly story. Helig's soul returned to his corpse through sinister magic, and he wants revenge. No doubt. But now you understand why I killed him. Why someone had to. If he sent you, I only hope I can convince you to return and slay him once and for all. He has something I need. You consider a deal with that monster. What I've told you hasn't swayed you, I doubt anything will. I must return to my work. I wish you well. Modred returns to his papers. I could continue helping Helig, or I could return to the catacombs and finish what he started. Honestly, finishing him sounds like the better choice. Unexpected results. The canine host was listless and unresponsive, but it was determined that this was simply the implanted feline soul. Yarn resulted in vigorous stimulation. Oh boy. I'm concerned about what they're doing in here. Okay. I'm gonna have to end this episode here. I think the decision I'm going to make is I am going to kill him. Whatever happened to her, whatever happened to Rowena, it may end up having to die with him. But I will not give him his grimoire, unless I'm killing him. So, that'll probably be later. That said, I'm gonna end this episode here. Next episode, we'll finish looking through the sanatorium and see what we can find in here. I don't know what'll happen, if there's anything of note, but we'll see what happens. Till then, I'm Chester44, also known as Phalai. That is Laniara, Adair, Dorrance, Aloth, Kana, and Sagani. This has been a Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity, and I shall see you all next time.